Ours is an excessively conscious age. We know so much, we feel so little. It's bad taste to be wise all the time, like being at a perpetual funeral. Be a good animal, true to your animal instincts. People always make war when they say they love peace. But better die than live mechanically a life that is a repetition of repetitions. Death is the only pure, beautiful conclusion of a great passion. Life is ours to be spent, not to be saved. Literature is a toil and a snare, a curse that bites deep. Ours is essentially a tragic age, so we refuse to take it tragically. Men. The only animal in the world to fear. The proper study of mankind is man in his relation to his deity. In every living thing there is the desire for love. The day of the Absolute is over, and we're in for the strange gods once more. Only in a novel are all things given full play. Oh, the innocent girl in her maiden teens knows perfectly well what everything means. Since obscenity is the truth of our passion today, it is the only stuff of art, or almost the only stuff. Men always do leave off really thinking, when the last bit of wild animal dies in them. Loud peace propaganda makes war seem imminent. Don't be on the side of the angels, it's too lowering. Towns oftener swamp one than carry one out onto the big ocean of life. The human consciousness is really homogeneous. There is no complete forgetting, even in death. One could laugh at the world better if it didn't mix tender kindliness with its brutality. All vital truth contains the memory of all that for which it is not true. When one jumps over the edge, one is bound to land somewhere. Nothing that comes from the deep, passional soul is bad, or can be bad. Having achieved and accomplished love, man has become himself, his tale is told. One never can know the whys and the wherefores of one's passional changes. The soul is a very perfect judge of her own motions, if your mind doesn't dictate to her. How beautiful maleness is, if it finds its right expression. We have to hate our immediate predecessors to get free of their authority. Psychoanalysis is out, under a therapeutic disguise, to do away entirely with the moral faculty in man. My God, these folks don't know how to love, that's why they love so easily. The human being is a most curious creature. He thinks he has got one soul, and he has got dozens. Ethics and equity and the principles of justice do not change with the calendar. The world of men is dreaming, it has gone mad in its sleep, and a snake is strangling it, but it can't wake up. The business of art is to reveal the relation between man and his environment. The human soul needs actual beauty more than bread. Do not allow to slip away from you freedoms the people who came before you won with such hard knocks. Money is our madness, our vast collective madness. Tragedy is like strong acid, it dissolves away all but the very gold of truth. Sentimentalism is the working off on yourself of feelings you haven't really got. There is no such thing as liberty. You only change one sort of domination for another. All we can do is to choose our master. Men and women should stay apart, till their hearts grow gentle towards one another again. Be still when you have nothing to say. When genuine passion moves you, say what you've got to say, and say it hot. Life is a traveling to the edge of knowledge, then a leap taken. Sex and beauty are inseparable, like life and consciousness. And the intelligence which goes with sex and beauty, and arises out of sex and beauty, is intuition. The one woman who never gives herself is your free woman, who is always giving herself. The fairest thing in nature, a flower, still has its roots in earth and manure. If a woman hasn't got a tiny streak of harlot in her, she's a dry stick as a rule. Never trust the artist. Trust the tale. The proper function of the critic is to save the tale from the artist who created it. There's always the hyena of morality at the garden gate, and the real wolf at the end of the street. This is the very worst wickedness, that we refuse to acknowledge the passionate evil that is in us. This makes us secret and rotten. Men are freest when they are most unconscious of freedom. The shout is a rattling of chains, always was. One must learn to love, and go through a good deal of suffering to get to it. And the journey is always towards the other soul. For man, as for flower and beast and bird, the supreme triumph is to be most vividly, most perfectly alive. The cruelest thing a man can do to a woman is to portray her as perfection. They say geniuses mostly have great mothers. They mostly have sad fates. One sheds one's sicknesses in books, repeats and presents again one's emotions, to be master of them. So long as you don't feel life's paltry and a miserable business, the rest doesn't matter, happiness or unhappiness. The refined punishments of the spiritual mode are usually much more indecent and dangerous than a good smack. The true artist doesn't substitute immorality for morality. On the contrary, he always substitutes a finer morality for a grosser one. The novel is the highest form of human expression so far attained. Why? Because it is so incapable of the absolute. One can no longer live with people. It is too hideous and nauseating. Owners and owned, they are like the two sides of a ghastly disease. O literature, O the glorious art, how it preys upon the marrow in our bones. It scoops the stuffing out of us, and chucks us aside. Alas! The only justice is to follow the sincere intuition of the soul, angry or gentle. Anger is just, and pity is just, but judgment is never just. The war is dreadful. It is the business of the artist to follow it home to the heart of the individual fighters, not to talk in armies and nations and numbers, but to track it home.